So we then decided to look at what communications facilities have remained available in ports. I haven't got a slide because it's all rather complicated, but of the ports that responded to our survey, less than half of them have a port-wide internet access either through Wi-Fi or WiMAX. Less than half. When we asked the ones who do provide the service, can seafarers have access to it? About 50% said, oh yes, seafarers can have access to it. And we said, free of charge? Oh no, they've got to pay for it. And frankly, the response was pitiful. And it really means that all this talk about communication at home isn't made any easier because the ports simply, they came out with all sorts of good reasons, security. They said there's no demand. Well, I mean, how do you know there's no demand if you don't provide a service? So we said, well, have you asked anybody? Oh, no. Because seafarers are on the ships anyway. So the whole thing is a bit of a nonsense. But these are kind of initiatives that we launch because we have to bring people's attention to the concerns that we have and the need for them to be able to contact their families back home. The ISAN helpline service. Give me a couple of cases recently. The day of the tsunami in Japan, we had a lady phone us who said, I'm very worried about my brother. He's on a ship in a Japanese port and I want to know if he's safe. Well, that was on the Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. We managed to contact an ITF inspector in Japan that evening. He managed to contact the ship, the owner of the ship, and we went back to that lady at 4 o'clock on a Sunday morning. We're not going to leave it. We'll contact her at 4 o'clock in the morning and say all is well. At the moment, just before leaving home, before leaving UK to come out here, we had a case of a Filipino crew stranded on board. They hadn't received any wages for months. Some of the crew had been persuaded to go back home by the owner, but then they contacted the ship and said, well, don't come home because they still aren't paying us. So they're staying put, but they've got no food or provisions on board the ship. They need some help. We have another case that I was looking at where this is an Indian crew. The ship sunk with 10 crew on board. 6 of them have been saved, 4 are missing, and the family contacted us to try and find out what's happened to their brother. So these are kind of some of the routine cases that we get. We get others that are simply saying, is there a seaman centre at the next port that I'm going to? We get cases of seafarers coming on saying, I'd like to see an HIV clinic at the next port, but I don't tell the master. So we have to arrange that because we work very, very closely with the port welfare centres and with the ITF inspectors. We have to arrange some confidential way for that seafarer to go along and visit an HIV clinic at the next port. Now finally, let me just mention Marriage Labour Convention. I don't want to go into an awful lot of detail for you on this, but this is probably, in regulation terms, going to be the most significant advance in the welfare of seafarers and their families in our generation. It is bringing together every single thing you need to know about the employment of seafarers at sea in one document, instead of being scattered around the place. So we have this new thing you'll keep hearing about, Seafarers Bill of Rights or MLC or something. We expect it to enter into force early next year, and it will be widely accepted. Already 55% of the world fleet has signed up to this convention, but it needs another few countries to pass the second test before it comes in. But that really will be a major advance for seafarers, and it will mean that a lot of the substandard operators have to come up to speed. So, some good news and some bad. The bad news, I'm afraid, is that all too often we still have to deal with the result of substandard operators. Now, the MLC will give us the regulatory framework that we haven't got at the moment, which will be the bedrock of welfare protection for seafarers. We have companies that, by and large, now most of them, because of their own enlightened self-interest, are increasingly in competition with each other to provide better and better social benefits to seafarers. We have underpinnings from some of the welfare agencies, from ICSW and ISAM, that put in place a backstop to the ones who fall through that system and end up being stranded around the place or in need of help which they're not getting from their companies. But overall, the outlook, I think, is very, very bright. That does not mean we can all go off to sea. And that's why I say, as my cautionary tale, that means we need another ISFC next year, and probably another one the year after, just so that we keep our fingers on the pulse and we make sure that everybody's aware of the need to upgrade not just seafarers' welfare, but also their families. Thank you very much.